Hi, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. It is June. I can't believe it. It is June 2024, and it is time for the animal messages for the month. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Julie Hirt. I am a certified soul level animal communicator, certified soul level intuitive coach, and I just finished up another class. So there's another certification coming here in just a little bit that I'll tell you about next month. But there's just so much going on, and I am so excited for this month. And here's the biggest reason why is because I don't know if you all can feel it, but there's been just an ever so slight shift in the energy. So if you remember, where we've been so far this year. In 2024, the overall themes for the year are becoming whole and connection. And so far, the animals have had messages such as putting yourself first, letting old structures fall, roar, let old stories go, helping us balance, forgiving ourselves, loving ourselves, allowing ourselves. These were all fantastic practices. And here's what's happened is we've been working on things moving through the year, even all of last year, year before that. And we've been moving, as we do through life and whatnot. And now they're moving ever so slightly. The energy is just ever so slight. And their animals are telling us, they're showing us that we've actually got what we need to step into confidence. Confidence is the animal message for June. So, like I said, all of the practices that we've been doing up until now, have been getting us to where we are today. And we can always go, back and take a look at what those other messages were, what the practices associated with them, because as many of you know, and Father Richard Rohr, who is one of my favorite people on this planet, if you haven't heard of Father Richard Rohr, I will put the information in the show notes. You have to check him out. He looks at I hate to say Christianity, but he's a Franciscan priest, and he looks at it through like the true teachings of Jesus, and it's just all about love, right? So if you're familiar with the Course of Miracles, if you're familiar with Sufism, if you're familiar with a lot of different other structures, which is all that there's love, he's a really good resource to tap into. But one of his biggest teachings that I've taken from him so far is this idea that along this human journey, everything is two steps forward and one step back. And one step back is not like a misstep, a failure. It's nothing like that. The one step back is simply the opportunity to reflect on what has transpired, what we have achieved, and even reflect on where we can see other opportunities for growth so that when we step forward again, we've got a clearer understanding, a little clarity around where we want to go. And that's the shift that the animals have brought forth for June as they're bringing into this shift of you've got everything you need. Let's get a little confidence going on in here. So, all that being said, one of the biggest practices that came from all the readings last month, and everybody, y'all, I cannot tell you how much all of the readings that I had last month makes my heart sing, because what I was finding was that so many animals were helping their people, letting them know, hey, you are intuitive. Hey, you do feel things in your body. You can trust your gut. You can trust your voice. It was amazing. It's also humbling to see how many people are starting to open up, are starting to awaken to everything that's going on, and that you're also starting to do the work of what it means to be human. And as you all know, we've got a lot of work to do, but we're starting to move ever so slightly into doing more and more of that work and embracing who we are. And I just also wanted to just explain for those of you who haven't been here before, what happens is all of the animal communication sessions that I have throughout the month of May, there's little threads that begin to come through and populate. And it's those threads, those commonalities, those repeats that happen that are also these larger threads for the collective. They're threads for me, they're threads for all of you. And so I pull those themes and then I work with the animals again, and we shape them just a little bit more. So you've got to practice. So that's how this came about. Confidence is that we've got a lot of we had a lot of readings in May where people are beginning to open up and embrace who they are, being curious about who they are, being curious about what's all going on, being curious about how their animals are helping them. And that's where all of this has become. So there are, as far as confidence goes, there are some, how do I want to say? I don't want to say the hows, because, for those of you who are in a manifestation, we know that we ask the universe for what it is we want or need, and we leave the hows, as Mike Dooley says, we leave the dreaded hows up to the universe. So these aren't necessarily the hows, but these are some practices that can support you in stepping into that confidence, into understanding what things feel like, into feeling and believing more about, you've got this, the animals have your back, you're moving forward, things are good. So here are those practices. One of them, of course, is breathing. We can never get away from those deep belly breaths, but those moments when we're feeling frantic, frustrated, we're feeling disconnected, we're feeling discombobulated, those are the moments to breathe, take those good deep breaths, and to even ground yourself. The animals ask all the time to go outside with them, to sit by the window, to just take a moment, plant your feet on the ground, whether it's the actual earth, whether it's actually the floor beneath your 13th floor apartment, whatever it may be. 13, by the way, is a sacred number. I just want to say that. For those of you who just heard 13 and got a little nervous, no, 13 is a sacred number. You can Google it. Anyway, not to digress, but you can breathe, ground yourself. Another practice that came up strongly in May was also the ability to say no. Say no to what it is that you don't want. Say no to what you don't need. Say no to not going out on a Friday night because you're exhausted and you just want to Netflix and chill with your dog and cat and lizard and birds and everything by your side, even your horses. Go, just say no. Also, boundaries. Making sure that those who are in your life that sometimes can drain you or whatnot, doesn't mean you have to cut them off. It just means, I'm going to set up a boundary so that if you're going to perform that behavior around me, it's not necessarily wanted. It's not necessarily what I need. And you're able to protect yourself in some way. So breathe, ground, say no, boundaries, and of course, stepping into belief that you've got this, belief that your animals are doing more for you than you could ever imagine, believe that the universe has your back, believe that you are worthy, that you are good enough, that you are safe, supported, protected, and that you are lovable. Believe, which is leaps of faith, right? Another aspect of all of May and some practices was, another thing is letting go of guilt, letting go of shame, letting go of worrying all the time. And I know I'm a huge worrier. You can ask Lucas, my dog. I worry about him all the time. You can ask my friends that'll help me out too in times when I'm worrying. But we need to let go of those instances of guilt, shame, and worry. Those are all choices that we make. Those are stories that we tell ourselves, and they're not valid. So how can we explore why we tell those stories? How can we work towards letting all of that go? And lastly, for those of you who are grieving the loss of a pet, um, the animals are actually asking you to work with that grief. Our culture right now has us deny it, tamper down, bury it, not show it. Pet loss grief is real and it is incredibly impactful. It's traumatic as well. And so how can we work with it? How can we move with it? As you know, I partner with Carrie Kenny, who on a monthly basis, who does movement practices for the animal messages, but she and I also do pet loss grief circles in an effort to not only hear from the animal, but then Carrie comes alongside and does some movement so that the individual can move, the whole group can move with that grief. So if you need any support as far as any grief or anything like that, I encourage you to check out Carrie Kenny. She will be in the show notes. She's on my channel here as well with me. And she's absolutely awesome and will absolutely help you as well. Most importantly, though, this is the final thing to remember about how to step into that confidence, or practices to step into that confidence, is to see the positive aspects of yourself. I know, like, I'm guilty of what I'm about to explain. I will see the positive in everybody else around me, and I do not necessarily allow myself, I actually don't so many times allow myself to see it in me. And the animals are asking us to absolutely, when you see the positivity in someone else, it is actually reflecting it back at you. Same with negativity, right? So the negativity actually gives you an opportunity to take a look at what you're not doing right by yourself. But just know that, When you see the positive in other people, absolutely turn that back around at yourself and see the positivity in yourself. We're all one. We are all connected. So when others are in pain, we too are in pain. When others are being positive, we too can be positive. You can do that even if you go to the grocery store and be kind to the person checking you out. You won't believe the ripple effect it can have, as you all know, I'm so sure. So, but to work on us and to make us whole, and our animals can absolutely help us with this. They are inviting us to do this work with them to help make the community and the collective whole. And as you know, like I said just before, we've got a whole lot of work to do on all of this, and it starts with us right here. So take some time, do the practices the animals suggest, and see if you can't find at least a glimpse of confidence that you're growing and that the animals have your back. That is really the animal messages for the month of June. You can join me here every month for an updated message. So we'll be back here again in July with the animal messages for July, as well as we'll be back in hopefully a few days with the movement practice with Carrie Kenny to support confidence and to support these animal messages for June. I also just want to say that if you haven't heard, I do have a podcast with two other animal communicator colleagues of mine. It is called the Animal Communication Podcast. Simple, right? Animal Communication Podcast. And you can find it wherever you find your podcast. I will put a link in the show notes. We're produced by mindbodyspirit.fm, and I'll put a link in the show notes to our page on their website so that you can find out all the information about the show. We do have new episodes every Monday, so check that out. There's been some really fun ones of late. We've had Riley Valentine on the show. We're going to have some other guest stars that I can't quite reveal. We've had the two crazy cat ladies. There's been a bunch of them, and there's going to be some more. So just stay tuned for all of that. Also, I want to just make sure that you're aware that I do write a weekly column on Substack called Trust the Animals. So if you're interested in hearing more about the animals on a weekly basis, sometimes twice a week, you can head over there. I'll put the link in the show notes to sign up for that as well. It'll also give you updates on events where I'm attending spirit fairs and whatnot, and other things that are coming to light that you might be interested in. So go ahead and check that out on Substack. It's called Trust the Animals. And let's see, what else do I have? I've got my little notes in front of me. What else do I need to share with you? I think that's everything. So I hope confidence for the month of June helps you continue your growth and expansion. And if it's also a time for reflect, embrace that too, because you've got this and the animals have your back. So I hope you've enjoyed this month's animal messages. Please drop me a comment below and let me know how your animal is helping you build confidence this month. I really appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. Take really good care of yourself, and we'll see you next time.